Friend Congressman from Southwest Virginia, District 5, Robert Hurt. Congressman Hurt, great to have you with us, sir.
Thank you, John. I always enjoy being with you.
Now, let's go to the Iranian deal. And I'm not sure, Congressman, if it's really a deal. It's a framework of what could be a deal, because it's not like two parties or three parties have signed a document. It's just a framework of a deal. But right off the bat, what Obama is saying and some in his administration are saying is not what the Iranians are saying. That's kind of strange, isn't it?
Well, I think it should give us all pause. As you said, this is a framework. It's not anything that's signed. It went days over the most recent deadline in order to get this framework quote agreed to. And remember, we've already missed deadlines before. And now this is sort of a tentative framework in advance of something that's going to supposedly be signed by June 30. And I guess the first thing that I would note is what you've noted, and that is that that there are already competing interpretations of this agreement by the negotiators from the United States and from Iran, and when you look at the substance of what is part of this framework, I have grave concerns because we went into this, I think, with the objective of shutting down some of the more dangerous sites and the more fortified sites in Iran, the impenetrable sites in Iran where this enrichment was taking place. And we've gone from shutting them down completely to, well, we're going to use them, quote, use them for something else now. But they'll be available for future use. And then you look at what they're doing with the equipment. The idea was to, destroy the centrifuges and take them out of commission. Well, it turns out we're going to basically put them in a closet, and they'll be available for future use. So, those two elements of, generally speaking, concern me a great deal because we've already, it seems, capitulated on the things that really could or would make sure that the nuclear program is stopped. My position, just for the purpose of going back to the beginning, my view has always been that the Iranians shouldn't have any nuclear program at all. They don't need to have any centrifuges, and we should take a hardline position. And we should have, instead of diminishing sanctions, we should have increased sanctions to continue the good work the sanctions were doing in making it impossible for them to ultimately advance with their plans. And I'm very sorry that the president has taken the opposite course.
Well, look, Congressman Hurt, didn't the sanctions and the economic impact they were having negatively on the Iranian economy bring them to the table?
I think that that's why that they were eager to come to the table, was because this was an opportunity for them to get their economy back on track, so that they'll have the wherewithal to do what they ultimately want to do, and they've made that clear. They believe that the United States is the great Satan, and we need to be destroyed. And how it is that we've suddenly given them the benefit of negotiating with us when they continue to spew that rhetoric and promote their evil design is beyond me. Again, I totally disagree with the course it's been taken, and it's my hope that I think my remaining hope is that between now and June 30th, the president will have a change of heart and will at least allow Congress to have some say in whether this gets done. He doesn't need to do that, but it's my hope that he will, because I think it's that important.
When you say that you hope the president involves Congress in this, it was Congress that passed some of these sanctions, so wouldn't by law Congress have to take them away?
I think that he has the flexibility, by the way that they were drawn, to be able to relax the sanctions. You also know that there are strong bipartisan support for for strengthening these sanctions, but he has waved us off and has indicated, because of course, as a law, they would have to be signed. He's waved us off, and again, I think very self-defeating, and I think that there will continue to be support for that, and I think that we have that available to us as a future measure. But again, the president would have to sign such a bill.
So,
and he's indicated this time he would not.
Right. So, Congressman Hurt, right now, President Obama, in your judgment, has the authority to make this deal with Iran without Congress. So then the next question is, we're going to get a new president January of 2017. Is that president, either party, either side of the aisle, going to have the opportunity to change this deal, or is it just binding?
No. And I think that that's the point. And you'll recall, your listeners will recall the letter that was sent that was so controversial,
right?
Which seemed to me to be perfectly reasonable statement of exactly what would happen if the president goes unilaterally, and that is that be on notice that this is only as good as the president who has decided to go it alone and done this on his own. Absolutely, a future president can undo this with a stroke of a pen, and I think that there are a lot of I don't know what Hillary Clinton would do, but I think that there are a lot of candidates on the other side who would ratchet down on Iran in a second, and as they should be.
Congressman, if I may, let's get to the Yemeni situation, where for the first time the Saudis said it's time to put together an Arab ground troop response. This is a potential game changer in the Middle East. What do you see happening there?
Well, I think it's good news that the Saudis and other of our those countries that have historically been allied with us, that they're stepping up the plate and taking action. I think that in many ways this is sort of a foreseeable consequence of the complete destabilization in the Middle East that I frankly and unfortunately lay at the feet of the president. I mean, the president has allowed for us to have a destabilized position. If you look at obviously what's going on in Iraq and Syria, when the American leadership steps away, the vacuum gets filled, and ISIS is filling the vacuum, and Iran is filling the vacuum, and so we're seeing that play out now in Yemen, and and I think that we're going to continue to see that, and I think that the world and the Middle East and by extension the world and the United States is I think it's a much more dangerous place now, and again, owing to the president's what I would suggest is a lack of leadership in the Middle East.
So, what's the end game here, in your judgment, Congressman?
Well, I think that America needs to and we need a president who's willing to lead and is willing to stand up for what's right and what are consistent with our values and our national security, and be forceful about it and not vacillate and not try to be all things to all people.
Right.
I mean, the bottom line is this: we have friends and allies like Israel in the Middle East, and we need to stand up for them, and we need to be very vocal about it. And when you have the Prime Minister of Israel making it clear as a bell that this agreement that's been being hammered out in Switzerland is a bad deal, we need to listen. And this is not something that should ever, it doesn't need to be public. It doesn't need to be ugly. These are our friends, and we need to listen to them.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we have to do what they say, but we need to listen to them and we need to be and we need to find every opportunity to be supportive. And this president, once again, in that respect, has surprisingly sort of turned away from Israel, and I think that's a grave mistake, and I think it only leads to more destabilization. And
Import-Export Bank, which is one of the issues coming up now in the House, reauthorizing that. A lot of people, Congressman, see the Import-Export Bank as basically a corporate welfare global piggy bank supported by the U.S. taxpayer. Now, we know the chamber's behind it. We know Silicon Valley wants it. All the usual suspects want it. But you trace this money, and there's a lot of corporate welfare involved, and it's coming straight from the U.S. taxpayer, working men and women, helping to basically subsidize bajillion-dollar companies. How do you stand on this?
Well, I've always made it clear that that I would like to see the program go away. I'd like to see it discontinued. But I do think that's worth making a couple of points. Number one, it's not a direct subsidy in the sense that it's not a cash payment. It's taxpayer-backed credit. So the bottom line is it gives the advantage to those foreign companies who buy our manufactured supplies. It gives them a U.S. taxpayer-backed subsidy in that form. So they have an advantage in terms of competing with their competitors based on the taxpayer-backed advantage, and that's manipulating free markets. And I think that it's and obviously if those loans go bad, then the taxpayer is on the hook, and that's also, of course, of a more indirect consequence and of concern. So, what I see happening here is, and the other thing I would point out, one reason it is complicated, though, and it needs to be stated, is that the United States is not the only country that does this.
Right.
Every other, very many other countries that we compete with do this. So the point is if we discontinue, what is the effect of that on other countries, and does that give them an advantage over our manufacturers? And I think that the answer is if we unilaterally step down, yes, I think that is a consequence, and that's something that we need to be prepared for. I think in a perfect world, what we would want to do is see all of them discontinued at the same time, and then that would make it I think an easy fix. But that's a heck of a lot more complicated than said to actually do. So I think that what we're going to see between now and June 30 is we very well may see some proposal on the floor, and the question will be, does it get a straight reauthorization, which I would not support. Does it get is there some method by which we wind it down over a period of time to allow our manufacturers to adjust, or does it just lights out? And I think that those are sort of the three options, and so we'll be following it closely and trying to figure out where it goes from here.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, Congressman Hurt, what you just said, as far as in a perfect world, everybody would stop it simultaneously, and then nobody would have an advantage. But it's almost like when you go back to the 19th and turn of the 20th century, when you were dealing with tariffs, one country would drop it when other would start it. They would have the edge, and so in order to get rid of it, everybody had to just stop them at the same time, and that is hard to do. I certainly do understand that. The Religious Freedom Restoration Act, I mean, this thing has driven me bananas because I don't see why we have to have any of these laws. It's captured the headlines for 2 weeks now. What are your thoughts on it?
No, I agree with you. It's sort of all of it's just mystifying. I can't imagine why anybody would object to the law that the Indiana passed. I think this is just it's politically driven, special interest driven, media driven, firestorm. And so the bottom line is no one is advocating that people be discriminated against unlawfully. What this is simply a statement that allows people in a free country to worship freely and to act within the terms of their conscience. And I can't imagine how anybody in a free country would have any objection to that whatsoever. So it's all a mystery to me. I'm with you on that.
It is just a mystery.
Amazing.
I mean, Robert Hurt, if your wife, Mrs. Hurt, went downtown Chatham and wanted to buy a cake or something at a store, and the person, the owner, was just hostile and said, we don't like Republicans, we don't like the Hurts, we don't like what you guys stand for, we just don't like it. Well, after a while, wouldn't she just go across the street? I mean,
yes, exactly.
I mean, I'm just asking you straight up because I know your wife bakes. She's a great cook. I've had a chance to sample her stuff. She has to go down to. I mean, people would just say, "Look, he's a Republican. He's conservative. He kind of drives me bananas," And like after the third time or the first time, she'd pick another baker to buy her stuff. So stupid.
It really is.
I'm right.
Yes, no, that's a very good way to put it.
Oh, you just put these things in simple terms. 727, Congressman Robert Hurt in Chatham. Now I've spilled the beans about your wife, though, I guess.
Yes.
That's out there. Okay, final thing.
Quite a baker.
She is quite a baker, and I've had the opportunity to sample her baking, which has added to the ever expansion of my waistline. Congressman Hurt, I've got, what do I have? A minute and a half. That's it. 1 minute, hard stop. Mark Warner and Mark Herring came out with a statement the other day. Now Herring joining in with 15 states on this amnesty thing. But one thing that disturbed me is they're talking about protecting the rights of undocumented illegals in Virginia. And here's what drives me nuts. Who's protecting the rights of the Virginia working man and woman who's paying for all this, who didn't break the law, who's playing by the rules? This is driving me bananas.
Yeah, I can't say anything about any of that except that it's just very disappointing, and it's very disappointing to see that it is taking place here in Virginia. But I agree with you. Our country was built on the marriage of the free principles that are enshrined in our Constitution, and free markets, and the rule of law, and that's and once you start to undermine the rule of law, and we can start saying, well, this is the law, but we're not going to enforce it, or this is the law, but it also means this, or you start to chip away at the very foundation of the principle that everyone is equal in the eyes of the law, and the law applies equally to everybody. And if you start making exceptions to that, you start chipping it away, and then you're justifying being able to
Congressman, you hit it on the head. You hit it on the head. We're out of time. Go to hurt.gov.com. Thank you.